Hi, my name is Jessica Collett, and for the Global Transportation Social Impact Project, I chose to compare Tesla and Toyota. My choice of these firms is honestly completely selfish. I have a couple of shares in Tesla stocks, so I'm just interested really to see more about Tesla and their business and how they use sustainability to promote their business as well. As far as Toyota is concerned, I have a Lexus as an everyday driver, which is the luxury brand of Toyota. So, as a consumer of their brand, I'm really interested to see as well how they use sustainability to their benefit when it comes to business practices. So, in this presentation, I'm going to go through the corporations themselves, how they utilize CSR and sustainability, a brief history of the automotive industry, as well as a brief history into Toyota and Tesla as well, a little bit about their stakeholders, a little bit about corporate sustainable responsibility as a definition and a discussion related to that. We're also going to go into the issues and compare and contrast the issues for each firm. I have ethical reasoning methods as well and application to Tesla and Toyota. We're going to talk about alternative energy options, the Porter and Kramer articles as well, and how they are related to Tesla and Toyota. I'm also going to go over ethical relativism, performance, environmental sustainability, an internal and internal analysis, as well as an analysis of their competitors. I'll also talk about strategic direction that management could take in the company to improve their practices. And we'll end with implications for management, learning points, and key takeaways from the presentation. As well, at the end, I'll include my references for all the information that was used in the presentation. So to start, I'm going to talk about corporate social responsibility. It's basically when businesses integrate ethical, social, and environmental concerns into their operations. Sustainability is a focus on long-term environmental stewardship, reducing negative impacts while ensuring economic viability. In the automotive sector, sustainability efforts include reducing carbon emissions, conserving natural resources, ethical sourcing, and transitioning to alternative energy solutions, which both of these firms have shown to do pretty well. They're both the most prominent automakers prioritizing sustainability, but they do take different paths in achieving their goals. So, a brief history of the automotive industry is in 1885, Carl Benz was developed, or well, he is mostly attributed with developing the first gasoline-powered car. There were different sources saying that there's other inventors of the car, but it does seem that Carl Benz is the most widely attributed one. Also, in the early 1900s, as many Americans know, Henry Ford introduced mass production, making automobiles widely accessible. This really spread the use of automobiles across the globe. By the 1990s, General Motors had experience with electric vehicles, and they actually released one that really kind of set the world up to see that electric vehicles could be used. They weren't widely adopted at this time, but they are credited with releasing the first electric vehicle that was considered a success. By the early 2000s, hybrid technology vehicles had been released, and that was actually pioneered by Toyota's Prius, which was released in 1997. So that was a very big move for Toyota, and they have since still utilized their hybrid technology to really push their business agenda. And then more recently, from the 2010s to the present, Toyota has revolutionized the automotive industry by making EVs more mainstream. They push competitors like Toyota and other ones as well to accelerate their sustainability initiatives. Basically, all the other automotive manufacturers have seen the success that Tesla has gotten very quickly, and they really want a piece of that pie as well as the world pushing for more sustainable efforts. Tesla's really aligned with this, and other companies are taking note. All right, so then a little bit about Tesla specifically is that they were founded in 2003 by Martin Eberhard and Mark Tapanning. They were both engineers, and it was later led by Elon Musk. So today, Elon Musk is the face of Tesla. He's, the CEO. But in the beginning, he was actually just an early investor that believed in the company, and he really had good advice and was able to take Tesla to the next level and really bring them to what they are today. So he was very pivotal in that sense. And that's kind of why he's the face of Tesla. Tesla's sole mission is to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy. So obviously, when comparing the two, Tesla is stereotypically the more sustainable option when it comes to automobiles. Their key sustainability practice are basically 100% electric vehicle lineup. So they don't even produce traditional vehicles like Tesla and a lot of the other ones that we know. They also have other renewable energy solutions such as solar panels, battery storage systems, and they are experimenting with other ones, but obviously their automobiles are their main source of profits at this moment. They also use a closed loop battery recycling to minimize waste and environmental damages. This basically means that they take their old batteries and they repurpose them to make new batteries for new automobiles. They also have gigafactories powered by renewable energy to reduce manufacturing emissions. So basically, instead of using harmful fossil fuels in these big factories that manufacture their vehicles, they also use renewable energy in that sense as well. In comparison, Toyota was founded in 1937 by Kiichiro Toyota. Toyota became the world's largest automaker and still is today as far as how many they produce and their expansion across the world. While Tesla has they definitely beat them as far as revenue goes. They have a lot more revenue than Toyota. Also, Toyota uses yen as they're founded in Japan, but um, Toyota just has produced way more vehicles, has sold more, has been around longer, which is why they are considered the world's largest automaker. They also boast that on their own website that they are considered the largest automaker. But their sustainability efforts include the hybrid leadership. As I discussed, their Prius launch in 1997 was a really good revolutionary fuel efficiency option in the traditional vehicle world. They also use a diverse approach. So not only do they have their hybrids, they're also using plug-in hybrids, and they're starting to expand more into the EV world. They're also experimenting with hydrogen fuel cells, which hasn't fully been adopted, but it could be a very good sustainable effort to protect those scarce materials such as lithium that are in some of these batteries for electric vehicles. One thing that Toyota specifically announces as far as their sustainability is their Challenge 2050. They have a couple goals that they want to meet. Some of the most notable ones is basically that they aim to cut CO2 emissions by 90% and achieve carbon neutrality. They also have a carbon zero initiative, which focuses on holistic approach to reducing environmental impact beyond vehicle emissions. So the stakeholders in each company are basically the same. Primary stakeholders, of course, are employees and workforce because they focus on sustainable workplaces and fair labor practices. Employees and workforce are very important. They can't produce more vehicles without focusing on their employees and their workforce. As well, customers are a primary stakeholder because if they can't sell the vehicles to people, if nobody are buying them, they're not going to have a very good business. So that's why customers are a primary stakeholder in this as well. And there's a growing demand among customers for eco-friendly, sustainable production. So it really helps with Tesla, of course, and their fast success, but as well as Toyota and why they're trying to branch into the sustainability realm a lot more because customers want that, and that's very important. Another primary stakeholder for both companies is their investors and their shareholders. So if they expect long-term financial stability, they have to adhere to environmental, social, and governance principles that the investors and shareholders will want to continue invest in. This is a big part of each company as well. And Tesla's in the S&P 500. They're a very big company. Toyota is too. So it's very important that shareholders are on the side of the companies. So the secondary ones specifically emphasized by Toyota, while Tesla does have this as well. Toyota really provides a lot of information and resources when it comes to their website. That's very in depth. So they even have their own specific stakeholder website and page where they talked about their secondary stakeholders. So that would be suppliers and local communities. So where they get the things to make their vehicles, basically. The local community is important because obviously they need to be a part of the local community. Toyota specifically uses a lot of different um, sort of like sustainability funding to help their local community, which kind of offsets any issues that they might have with sustainability for their factory. So that's one way that they really integrate into the local communities. Also, regulatory bodies are another secondary stakeholder for these companies because the governments worldwide, not in just places that affect Toyota and Tesla, they imposed pretty strict emission regulations. They're pushing automobiles towards sustainable practices. So it's very important that both company both companies are able to basically just follow these practices and make sure that they are following the right regulations so they can continue to be in business. So here is one of the graphs that Toyota actually provided on their extensive website. It just kind of shows shareholder dividend reports for 2024 to showcase valid stakeholder information. Basically, it shows that the dividends in each, or the dividends for shareholders are for Toyota, basically. It kind of just shows from 2020 all the way to 24 and how it's changed. One thing I that really popped out to me here is how high the payout ratio went up in 2023 for Toyota. And I was looking into why this could be. And it basically said that in 2023, Toyota experienced really good sales as far as their hybrid vehicles. People really wanted more hybrid vehicles. Toyota is kind of a pioneer in that sense. They were one of the first hybrid vehicles that really took off in the market, with the Prius in the early 2000s. So that was really important to them, and it still is. Clearly, in 2023, they sold a lot, and that really caused their dividend payouts to rise, as we can see here. So, the next thing we're going to talk about is sustainability issues. So, reducing carbon emissions obviously is very important for both of these companies. Tesla has eliminated internal combustion engines entirely. So, their carbon emissions are very low, and that's kind of how they try to do business at all. That's basically their main selling point. Toyota obviously has been around much longer than Tesla, and they are known for their traditional vehicles. So they do have a much bigger carbon footprint. So if we look here, Toyota has balanced hybrid, electric, and hydrogen technologies for carbon neutrality, which has definitely helped in reducing carbon emissions. Although we cannot say that they have more than Tesla, they definitely have a lot more carbon emissions than Tesla. Obviously, it's their whole approach, but Toyota is definitely taking the steps to make that better. As far as conserving water, Tesla has implemented a closed loop water recycling in their manufacturing. So basically, any water that they use in manufacturing their batteries or other automotive parts that they're using, maybe to clean them or just in the process at all, they're trying to use recycling methods. So they keep their old dirty water and then obviously turn it into clean water and then use it again in their closed loop recycling. As far as Toyota, they've reduced their water usage in production and they contribute to local water conservation products. So that's very important to reduce water as well. They pose a lot of funding to help promote clean water in the areas around them as well. As far as improving material flow and reducing waste, Tesla, as we talked about a little bit before, they recycle their batteries. So it really helps in shifting towards biodegradable materials because they are under scrutiny for using lithium and things like that that are a little bit more scarce in their batteries. But by recycling their batteries, they don't have to keep going into those sources and using more. As far as Toyota, they do use plant-based plastics and they promote a circular economy in their supply chains. So that really helps with recycling as well. So the plant-based plastics are much more recyclable than other ones that are less sustainable. As far as protecting biodiversity, Toyota engages in reforestation and wildlife conservation projects. As we talked about before, they're really good in funding projects. So they really try to get their name out there as far as funding local projects and other things as far as just wildlife conservation. Tesla reduces reliance on fossil fuels to mitigate ecological damage. So their whole company basically has protected biodiversity in this way. Once again, it's their business model, basically. So, ethical reasoning behind each company. We can first start with justice, which is basically where sustainability efforts relate to fairness and equality, ensuring a cleaner environment for all. Tesla focuses on reducing carbon emissions, but uses rare materials for batteries, which can be difficult to mine. And Toyota works to lower emissions, but they have been slower in transitioning. So it does raise concerns about affordability and distribution in the future. As far as utilitarianism, ethical focus on promoting growth and happiness for all. Both companies do aim to improve the future, but Tesla's material use and Toyota's slow adoption do present challenges in this realm. As far as rights, that's protecting environmental rights and the rights of the affected communities. Both companies are working for this as well. Their issues in sourcing and delayed transitions do raise concern for the future generation communities, but I do think that they're both utilizing an appropriate approach that will help them in the future. As far as ethical relativism basically means that morals and ethics vary across cultures and regions. So it's very important that a company has a grasp of ethical relativism because it'll really help them sell basically in different cultures. Different cultures may want different products, and this includes vehicles. So companies must follow the rules, policies, and practices of the areas which they operate and they sell. Toyota is very good at this because they're a well-established global organization with a diverse sustainability approach. Obviously, they have traditional vehicles, they have hybrid vehicles, they're now implementing EVs, they have a little mix of both. Whichever vehicle aligns more with the culture, people have a pick of the crop when it comes with Toyota. As far as their sustainability options, they might align better with different cultural preferences, just depending. EVs are very sustainable, but they do require charging stations. In some of these countries, those could be very scarce and may be hard to find. So a hybrid vehicle may fit with that a lot better. Tesla, however, is a newer company. They're still expanding globally. They definitely don't have as big of a global footprint, and their primary focus is on EVs. So it really limits the ethical relativism for people or customers that may not want EVs or may not be able to own an EV. As far as alternative energy strategies, Tesla is basically, once again, that's their whole business model, but they are focused entirely on battery powered vehicles. They also have solar technology and charging accessories that are sustainable as well. Their challenge really is that their battery production requires a large amount of lithium and other rare earth metals. So that's where they're implementing that recycling and their closed loop battery usage to really help with that. Toyota is also diversifying their alternative energy strategies by using the hybrids, the plug-in hybrids, hydrogen fuel cells, and also battery EVs. The challenge there is that they're having a really slow transition. They have not really produced a notable EV. While they have made some, they're really not a big stakeholder in the EV market. Other traditional automakers are definitely outcompeting them in that sense. They're also really trying to push the hydrogen fuel cell infrastructure, but it's very underdeveloped, and that limits widespread adoption as well. They really haven't figured out how to correctly produce that. So that's something that they are trying to do for the future, but not something that they currently have right now. The hydrogen fuel cell will also really limit that use of lithium and other rare earth metals. So if they're able to pioneer this, that would be a very good move for Toyota and other automobile makers that want to follow in those footsteps. As far as the Porter and the Kramer articles, the one in 2006 actually describes strategy and society. basically a link between competitive advantage and CSR. So it emphasizes integrating CSR into business strategy for competitive advantage. So immediately you think of Toyota. While they've been around for a long time, they're typically more traditional. They have aligned their strategies now with more sustainable practices like CSR. And they're doing this by implementing their hybrids into the business model and really trying to balance profit and competition by continuing to be more sustainable, introduce EVs, and make new products in this realm. As far as the 2011 article, Creating Shared Value, it proposes that businesses generate economic value while also addressing society challenges. It basically means that they're using sustainable practices as their business model and they're making money this way. And immediately I think of Tesla because they use it as their business model. Their business model is built on sustainability and using innovation to drive profits while advancing global environmental efforts is their entire business model. So they definitely align more with the Creating Shared Value article from 2011. Now, their performance, I talked a little bit about before. Tesla has a lot more revenue than Toyota. Obviously, Toyota is a Japanese company, so they do get their money in yen. And as far as the conversion rates are, it does make it come out a little bit less too. But one thing that really creates better performance for Tesla is how expensive they are. They have very expensive vehicles. People are really buying more. They're shifting from their traditional vehicles and buying Tesla. So they have seen a lot of revenue. They actually outperform every other um, automotive company basically when it comes to revenue. But their growth is driven by diverse revenue streams as well as sustainability initiatives. They align with the global demand for greener solutions. And one notable release that I can think of is their Cybertruck because those are very expensive. They only made a limited amount. They have a unique design that no one's ever really seen in these advanced features, which really keeps Tesla in the public eye. People keep looking to them for innovation and they want to see what they're doing next. And the Cybertruck was something to me that I can really see where they made that there. And they really utilized the media and this limited approach to really get more customers in and make them feel special because they have these limited edition vehicles. As far as Toyota, they have their hybrid vehicles as well as their traditional vehicle sales, which significantly produces more revenue for them. They also sell a lot. They mass produce these vehicles. They're a lot cheaper. They're a lot more affordable. So as far as actually putting out vehicles, Toyota has put out more than any other automobile maker in as far as that goes. They also reinforce the market shift towards sustainability in the auto industry in this way. So as we can see here, it's just a graph kind of showing sales for both companies from 2013 all the way up to 2024. We can kind of see that Tesla has just gone up and up and up as the years have gone. And that's basically as they've released more items, as they've released more cars, as they have grown in the media, they have really just kept growing. They're a lot younger, so their quick success is really highlighted here in the way that their graph goes up. As far as Toyota, they've been around for a very long time. They've always been a very good company as far as vehicle sales, but they have went up and down in the sales, as we can see here. They went down in 2020, they went up in 2021, they went down in 2022. I could think that maybe some of these spikes are due to COVID and probably not being able to sell as many vehicles. I know a lot of vehicle dealerships closed during this time, so I would assume that's probably where this came from. And then obviously, more recently, they have gotten up quite a bit as the world has come out of COVID as well. So here we have heart sustainability values, and this is just a diagram that I found on the website that showed the sustainability value portfolio, and it basically has four quadrants. It has clean technology, pollution prevention, product stewardship, and then the base of the pyramid is kind of the sustainability goal in general. So a question to ask there is, Does our corporate vision direct us towards solution of social environmental problems? And does our vision focus us on serving the unmet needs at the base of the economic period? So all the questions in each of these quadrants can be questions that companies can ask themselves basically to see which part of the portfolio they align more with. So here we discuss a little bit more about how this aligns with each company. So Tesla, they are primarily in the clean technology quadrant. They focus on reducing environmental impact through EVs and energy solutions. Scrutiny over scarce material usage and waste management issues do exist. The impact that Tesla has made is that they report 51 tons of CO2 emissions avoided per vehicle over 17 years of use. And I found this directly from the Tesla website. This is what they claim. As far as Toyota goes, they emphasize pollution prevention and product stewardship. Their initiatives include community sustainability programs, environmental challenges, and improving manufacturing in that way. They also expand hybrid, and they have an EV lineup that will hopefully come out and be better than what they have now. They do face greater sustainability challenges due to their historic reliance on gas-powered vehicles, and they still are largely a gas-powered vehicle company that they are trying to change that as well. So if we analyze the external and internal things that each company faces, we see externally Tesla has the opportunity for global expansion beyond the US market. They're very big in the US market, but if they expanded more globally, they would very much increase their revenue. There's a high demand for EVs present in the market currently, so this would benefit them as well. They face threats from rising competition in both EV and traditional automaker sectors. Obviously, traditional automobiles are still a lot cheaper, so they do face competition there. And other companies have come out as well with EVs because they want a piece of the pie and the success that Tesla is getting. One notable one that actually has sold Tesla in other countries is BYD. The challenges that Tesla has is their supply chain and economic disruptions. So this is kind of as well as Toyota, they have the same problems. Any automobile really has supply chain and economic disruptions at all times because the world changes. You never know when a war could affect your supply chain or other things like that. As far as Toyota, their opportunity to expand further into the EV market and diversify revenue is there as well. They have they have faced strong competition from traditional automakers. Obviously, that's their realm, so they've always had that competition. But not only this, but new EV companies. People are getting rid of their old gas automobiles, their Toyota gas automobiles, and they're looking for new EV ones. And this might be from Toyota, but they don't really have that much. So people are probably more looking into Tesla or other options as well. Internally, Tesla has a strong brand image and with a reputation for quality and innovation. They're very expensive, but their automobiles have this quality and innovative technology approach that other ones don't. They have all of these upgrades and things that other traditional automobiles don't have as well. They do struggle to meet demands, which leads to lower production rates. It is very hard for them to implement all of these innovations into one vehicle. It takes a long time to produce, so they cannot produce as much as Toyota. The high prices also make Tesla a little bit less accessible to a broad consumer base. Most people would just choose the cheaper option, which is probably a Toyota versus a Tesla. As far as internal for Toyota, they have a more affordable and versatile vehicle lineup, of course, so they have a broader market that they can appeal to. They have strong reputation for reliability in vehicles. They also have a slow adoption of EV technology compared to competitors, though, which is a challenge that they face. As far as manufacturing defects and recalls, they do have quite a bit as they've been around for a while. It does change it. So this can damage consumer trust with them. But as far as the reliability of Toyotas, honestly, they're the most known brand. I've always heard that Toyotas are more reliable than any other brand. So even with their defects and recalls, they are still doing pretty well in this realm. As far as the market share, we can see here in this data set that Tesla is very much ahead of all the other ones. You can see here they have 1.4 trillion, while Toyota is just behind at 231 billion. Of course, this is in yen. Their conversion rate's a little bit different, but still. This is as far as revenue goes. As far as the share of revenue, Toyota is much higher, or sorry, Tesla's much higher than Toyota. Their market cap is not reflected in their production numbers as well. In 2023, Tesla sold 1.8 million vehicles, but by comparison, Toyota sold 11.2 million vehicles. So they're obviously a lot bigger in the market share of their number of vehicles. So in 2024, Tesla held 4.2% of the automobile market share, while Toyota is still the most extensive global car brand, and they hold 10.7%. And this comes from their expansion across the globe and how many vehicles that they've been able to produce and sell, not just their revenue, as we can see here in this data set. So the next one here shows the basically the data that I just read, and it's the global automobile share as far as production and a lot of other things, not just revenue. So you can see that Toyota does come out ahead, and we have Volkswagen behind them, but they're not really catching up. They're about at halfway. So Toyota has a very large market share when it comes to their production and everything as far as expansion as well. So this here is showing EV sales specifically. As we can see here, the estimated global plug-in electric vehicle sales in the first half of 2023 by brand are here. And it just kind of shows that BYD is actually beating Tesla in sales. Not in the US, but where they're in China, where they are being sold. And if we look at the other EVs here, Toyota doesn't even show up on the map. They're really not in the EV market as much as these other ones are. So I just showed those more to compare how things have changed over the years. So we saw a little bit of 2024 and a little bit of 23 as far as their competition and everything goes. So now we're going to strategic direction. Tesla expansion is needed, basically. They have the rapid success, but expansion efforts are limited compared to Toyota. They have not completely expanded to Asia, South America, Europe, all these other countries that they could utilize to gain a lot more revenue. Risk mitigation is also very important because greater expansion would help Tesla reduce risks from disruptions and strengthen market presence. Diversified pricing strategy is important for Tesla because they are very expensive. So if they made more affordable vehicles, they could broaden their customer base by offering more accessible price points. Learning from strength. So basically, Tesla can adopt Toyota's scalability because Toyota is all over the globe and they're a lot more accessible. But Toyota can enhance its EV production and sustainability initiatives similar to what Tesla has done. Basically, they can learn from each other in that sense. In the future, as demand for sustainability rises, Toyota needs to focus more on innovative EVs to solidify their market strength. So they do have a good market strength in the traditional automobile sector as far as how many they produce and how far they're expanding. But as in the EV sector, they really don't have much of a leg to stand on, so to say. So if they continue to innovate EVs, they will have a much stronger market share in that sense. As far as management, Tesla's success with CSR and financial performance is very important. Their strategic sustainability and innovation have rapidly increased their market share. For Toyota, their global dominance is very important. It solidifies them as the world's largest automaker, but they should expand further into the EV market to maintain this position. As more companies become better in the EV market, and that's what the world is demanding, they could eventually rise to meet Toyota in this sense. So, in order to maintain that competitive advantage, it is very important for Toyota to start producing more EVs. The key takeaway from this whole thing is basically that corporate social responsibility and sustainability are critical for long-term success as global demand for sustainability transportation continues to grow. Strategic implications that both companies must use is basically to continuously evolve and implement sustainable practices to stay competitive in a shifting market. Obviously, the market now is calling for sustainability, so they need to continue to implement sustainability. They need to continue to remain competitive, continue to utilize ethical relativism and other things like that to just continue to stay in business in general. So the summary of everything is basically that Tesla has pioneered EVs and they aim for complete sustainability through electric vehicles, solar energy, and battery storage solutions. Tesla has made a very big impact in the automotive industry by experiencing rapid growth in this realm, and this has shifted the entire industry towards sustainable transportation because people are noticing this. New companies are developing to compete with Tesla. Traditional companies are changing to compete with Tesla. They have really been a pioneer in sustainability as far as automobiles go. For Toyota, they are a global leader in hybrid vehicles. They have gradually shifted towards full EVs, but they're still maintaining their diverse sustainability approach with all the different things that they do still produce. And obviously, their traditional vehicles are still an option as well. They're trying to diverse their sustainability initiatives as well by funding things in their local community and funding other initiatives as well. Despite the different approaches that each firm has, both companies are shaping the future of sustainable transportation, and they can learn from each other to enhance their environmental and their social impact. So here are the references that I used throughout the presentation. There's quite a lot. Most of them, honestly, were from Toyota or from the Tesla websites. Some were, as far as the graphs go, that's where we see here. A lot of the other ones are from that, Porter as well. There is another page here, and it's the same thing. A lot of it is the graphs. Toyota website was very helpful with a lot of this. Tesla was not as helpful with researching for some reason, I guess because they're a lot more of a new company. They didn't have a lot on their own website, so that's where I did have to branch out there as well. And basically, in conclusion, that was my global sustainability transportation project. Yeah, thank you for watching.